Hello everybody, welcome back to Archery Country YouTube channel. My name is Wade and today we're going to give out some tips and tricks on trail camera placement and what we're doing to maximize our output so we can target that animal and get all the inventory, most recent inventory that we can get, and most recent information, I guess you could say. So first and foremost, our tips and tricks. One of the most overlooked tip that I want to give to you is treat your trail camera setup just like you would your tree stand or your hunting setup. Today we didn't do it, but usually I'm gonna have a pair of gloves on. I'm actually gonna shampoo down and wash down. I'm gonna spray my clothing, my boots. I'm gonna try to eliminate as much scent as I can. I can't eliminate it all, but I wanna take every precaution that I can. I'm actually gonna spray down my equipment, all of my straps, usually brand new out of a box, spray them down, let them dry, just to try to get away any unfamiliar scent that I can. We are gonna let these cameras soak. Today we're talking about a cell camera, so I'm not gonna be back here for a couple of months, hopefully, and the camera will have a soak period and then the deer will get used to it. So that would be my number one tip, is just to soak everything, to get everything kind of washed and preset, including yourself. Be careful where you're walking. Today, we're set up on a good friend of mine's farm. We have an awesome transition period as we are just encroaching that June into July month, where we're gonna start getting some summer pictures. We have a very, very big bean field behind us and a clover field that's gonna wrap around. And this is a huge bottleneck. Behind is almost 50, 60 acres of bedding with a little ridge scenario. We got a water hole behind us. And as you can see, a deer trail is coming right by. And another tip that I wanna give you is you wanna be close to where you're gonna take pictures, but you don't wanna be right on top. So I'm not trying to get a picture of an animal right here at my feet. What I'm trying to do, the way that I'm gonna have this trail camera set up, is a wide pan view. We're not gonna use any mineral, any bait. We're just using natural agriculture and natural grasses on the transition of where they're going out, kind of pre-staged before they flood. And we also can get some pretty cool field pictures on a wide span setup. So my target is out behind where you're watching. Second tip that I wanna tell you, an adult buck, a 5-year-old buck, is gonna be 48 inches at the shoulder. They don't jump, they don't get bigger, they don't grow bigger than that. So when you're setting your trail camera on our angle, you don't want to worry about where your trail camera is as far as height, but one little trick that I do, I have a little walking stick and I have a piece of orange tape right at 48 inches. Where I think that most of my deer pictures are gonna be, I stick it in the ground. And that gives me a line of sight of where I want to angle this camera. Tried and true, one of the little trips when we're out here, take a little twig. If I got this cinched up tight and I want to angle my camera, I can just slide this in, get that little angle. Most of your cameras are gonna have what we call a test feature. So you can go in your settings and run that test, and what it does, when you get out to your designated area and you walk in front of that cone or that zone, the red light's gonna come on and tell you that would be taking a picture. The camera has been signaled and it's gonna take a picture. So I can really fine tune where I want that zone, rather it be wide or narrow, far or near. So 48 inches and under, no lower than 30, no higher than 48. So another thing that we have the opportunity to do on this farm, as we're looking for early season, our June or July, even into August, when the bucks are in velvet and they're maturing, they're getting to their stages, they're in small batch groups and they do not go very far from their bedding. So we talked about, right behind me, we have our bedding. This is only about a 75-yard, 100-yard walk out to food. So they're gonna go to and they're gonna go away. So I'm really concentrating on here early season on my food source, on my transition to food source. I'm not up on the ridges. I'm not worried about rut activity. I'm not worried about scrapes, any of that. June, July, August, I'm really concentrated in on my food source. Where it's legal, you can have mineral licks and get some pretty cool pictures on that. On this location, we cannot do that. So we're only literally 35 yards from the edge of a bean field, and it's a nice inside corner with clover and alfalfa. So there's gonna be a pretty good concentration of animals right here early in the evening, and then in the night we can get some passing, and their trail to bed is right here and the trail out of bed is right here. So that's why we decided to set this camera setup. Now, the cool thing about this property, as we make that transition into September, those bucks start to feel things, we're getting into October, days are getting shorter, cooler nights, then we're gonna start seeing some scrape activity. Well, being on a field edge, basically 15 yards from where I'm at right here, I can reposition this camera, do a little trimming, and I have a scrape tree right here at about 12 yards where it's always been a scrape there. They have branches broke off. Right now we're in complete foliage, but I can transition this camera with very minimal interference from humans right to that scrape. And again, setting my zone, picture a buck that's gonna be either at the scrape facing you or a side profile picture, 48 inches and under, angling this. I may move it up on the tree just a little bit so I don't get any ground interference or any glare off of my flash, or this is a black flash so I don't have to worry about that. But moving it up the tree and angling it down, I can really pick up a much smaller area. So I'm not so much worried about my field edge and out into the field getting my wide span, but I get a great opportunity to really zone in on what's at the scrape. Doesn't matter if it's little or big, it's gonna trigger my camera on that. As we get into the rut, when things are really pumping and rolling, again, we talked about a bedding area. So from my feeding zone, my does, which we're gonna actually be targeting, I target my does when it comes to the rut, is I'll turn this camera, same tree, but I'll turn things 180 degrees, and it's a great wide open transition. That ridge comes straight down, and now I can pick up movement activity. I go back to a wide span right off the ridge. My does are gonna be in their bedding areas, and that's when my major bucks or my target animals are gonna be scent checking for does. So I'm utilizing one spot to get 3 different times of the year. And then as we get into late season, again, I have my bean field. If the farmer doesn't harvest the beans, or if I leave, I still have my green plot right here. It's gonna be a feed source or food source come late season. And I completely revert back to early season setup, field edge, wide span, looking to get that late evening, early morning on their way back, but usually concentrating on my late evening hunting food source. So I'm utilizing one tree to do everything. Now the introduction of battery packs and solar chargers, we've almost went exclusively to solar chargers on most of our cams, especially our cell cameras, because we don't want to be intrusive. We don't want to be back in here changing out batteries or missing pictures. If a new buck moves into the area and he's only there for a couple of days and my camera's down. So our solar charger, I just have it up for display today, but where this is going to come in handy is it constantly charges your battery when there's sunlight. So right now in the early season side of things, I have complete foliage. As we look off to the east, which will be my morning setup, I really like to face my camera south, southwest, southeast if you had to, but I have a pretty good opening setup right behind me. So I always put my solar charger above my camera, and then I'm gonna position this up, and I like to face it about a 45-degree angle towards where I'm gonna get most of my daylight activity here in our summer months. Again, utilizing that to charge my batteries so I don't have to be there. The reason I like to have things up is deer are curious. Sometimes they're gonna get used to this. Nothing is gonna be below. I'm not gonna have any interference. I can run my cords down and around and through and tighten things up. And that brings me to another great tip when we talk about trail cameras, is for some reason, when we design these straps, everyone must have been thinking of cottonwoods in North Dakota with 48-inch bases. The straps are extensively long. One of my biggest pet peeves and one of the most detrimental is having this strap here. Because it's undoubtedly, there's gonna be a time during the day, the week, the month, where the wind's gonna blow. If this is hanging down here and it blows up like this and everything gets picked up, you're gonna have 1,000 pictures of your strap. You don't want that. So we either set it up and cut it for your tree or wrap it around and tie it in so it's gonna be secure. And I'll even take my field spray, my enzyme killer, whatever it may be, and I'll spray down everything as I leave and just wipe my lens real quick with my shirt or a cloth, and then this should be set. Everything is. So if you have any other questions, you can always stop into the store. We have an extensive lineup of trail cameras this year, accessories, chargers, battery packs, solar units. Stop on archerycountry.com. You can hook up with one of our pro experts and they'll talk you through things. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you wouldn't mind, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notification, and we'll see you on the next one.